My family tried to sabotage my career. They had no idea I secretly owned the company. They thought they were targeting the quiet one, the backup plan, the girl who never quite figured it out. What they didn't know, I was the one signing their paychecks. They tried to sabotage my career without realizing I was the one signing their paychecks. Stick around because what started as betrayal turned into the ultimate power move. They tried to sabotage my career without realizing I was the one signing their paychecks. Stick around because what started as betrayal turned into the ultimate power move. And if you're into stories of quiet revenge and unstoppable success, hit that subscribe button. Money can't buy happiness, but it can fund the perfect revenge, especially when your toxic family doesn't know you're sitting on a $750 million 0 cents fortune. I learned that the hard way, just last week, when my own parents and brother tried to sabotage my career, not realizing they were targeting the owner of the company. I'm Emma Larson, though in most business circles I go by M. Officially, I'm the newly appointed Chief Technology Officer at Next Left Solutions, a cutting-edge AI development firm based in Boston. What my family doesn't know. 3 weeks ago, I became the company's majority owner, quietly acquiring shares through a series of discreet transactions using a private trust. The secret burned inside me every time Ethan mocked my cubicle life at family dinners, his smug tone implying I'd never outshine his corner office glory. The path to this moment started nearly 18 years ago, back when I was a quiet scholarship kid studying computer science at MIT. Meanwhile, my younger brother Ethan coasted through Harvard with our parents footing the bill. Ethan needs support, Mom always said. You've always been so independent, Em. Independent didn't cover it. I juggled lab work, tutoring jobs, and coding side gigs to survive. You're wasting your potential on those late-night projects, Ethan sneered once, scrolling through his phone while I debugged code at 2 a.m. Meanwhile, Ethan vacationed in Asia, proudly posting every sushi tasting and temple tour, but I was patient, focused. I had a dream, and I knew it would all pay off eventually. And it did. By the time I turned 32, I had launched and sold 2 tech startups. Quietly, I kept my name off press releases, funneled profits through shell companies, and let the world think I was just another mid-level exec grinding away. You're still at that startup? Ethan taunted last year, sipping wine. I closed a $10 million 0 cents deal this week. Step up, Em. Why all the secrecy? Because I knew how money poisoned relationships. My parents had always worshipped Ethan's stable job in corporate marketing while treating my work like some fragile experiment. You should talk to Ethan, Mom would say at dinner. He can help you get into real business. Real business doesn't involve nerdy code, Dad echoed once, dismissing my pitch about AI's future. So, I let them believe I needed help, that I needed them. Meanwhile, I was executing my master stroke, a stealth acquisition of Next Left Solutions, where I'd been working quietly for just over a year. The firm was undervalued, but packed with promise. Using a web of trusts and entities, I gained control without anyone realizing it was me. When the board named me CTO, they thought they were hiring a loyal strategist. They didn't realize they were giving the seat to the new owner. Ethan's reaction? Let's just say it was delicious. Must be nice to finally catch a break, Ethan said with a smirk during our weekly family dinner. Don't get too comfortable, Em. Big roles chew up people like you. Mom and Dad exchanged anxious glances. Maybe Ethan could mentor you, Mom chimed in helpfully. He's been managing teams for years, sweetheart. Yeah, I could teach you how to swim with the sharks, Ethan grinned, his eyes glinting with condescension. I smiled politely, suppressing a laugh. If only they knew about the acquisition papers locked away in my home safe. I'll keep that in mind, I said calmly. But Ethan wasn't content with smug comments. My promotion had upended the family pecking order. He'd always been the golden boy, the reliable one with a conventional career, while I was the quiet geek who never quite fit. You're punching above your weight, sis, he whispered at a holiday party, his breath heavy with scotch. Careful you don't fall. The first red flag came when he began dropping by Next Left Solutions for casual lunches with department heads. I watched from my office window as he joked with senior staff, feigning concern for his overwhelmed sister. subtly probing for any sign of weakness in my leadership. "I just want to make sure M's not drowning," he told a VP, loud enough for my assistant to overhear. Then came the anonymous tips to HR. Accusations of falsified degrees, rumors of inflated credentials, all of them baseless and easily disproven, but they sent a clear message. Someone was trying to destroy me. "I'm just worried about you," Ethan said sweetly when I confronted him. "You're in deep water, Em. I'd hate for you to sink because you didn't listen to me. You know how it is. Tech companies promote women a little too quickly these days. Got to hit those diversity numbers. I'd hate to see you crash and burn in front of everyone." I let him keep digging, curious how far he'd go. That answer arrived yesterday, delivered in a sealed envelope to the board of directors. Inside, a polished dossier filled with forged bank statements, altered emails, and a timeline painting me as a fraud. Insider trading, falsified reports. It included a doctored photo of me at a shady meeting that never happened, a low blow even for Ethan. It was a masterclass in malicious fabrication. The board called an emergency meeting for Monday morning. Ethan must have heard through his office grapevine because at dinner last night he was practically glowing. "The board wants me present tomorrow," he announced grandly. "Big shakeup coming, Em? Hope you've got a backup plan," he said, winking. Mom and Dad beamed with pride, neither asking why I wasn't invited to this mysterious meeting about my own job. "Didn't always been the one to watch Dad," Dad bragged, clinking glasses with him. "What they don't know is that I spent last night building a dossier of my own. Every manipulation, every lie, every whisper campaign documented in detail. I even traced the IP address of the anonymous HR tips back to Ethan's home office, a careless mistake he'd pay for. And this time, I'm also revealing Next Left Solutions' true ownership structure. Tomorrow, they'll finally find out who's really in charge. And if you think Ethan's about to get away with it, you might want to hit that subscribe button, because what happens next changes everything. I should be angry. I should be hurt that my own brother tried to annihilate my career, that my parents eagerly RSVP'd to my professional execution. But sitting here in my home office, surrounded by printouts of forged bank statements and fake email trails, I feel surprisingly calm. Ethan's scheme, twisted as it is, handed me the perfect stage. A rare chance to confront not only his betrayal, but a lifetime of being underestimated, overlooked, and dismissed. "You'll never be more than a coder," Ethan laughed years ago, dismissing my startup dreams. Tomorrow he'd eat those words. Sometimes the best revenge is letting people believe they've won, right until the moment they realize they were never in control. The board meeting is set for 8. Clock I am sharp. My family will arrive thinking they're about to witness my downfall. Instead, they are about to learn why you never bet against the quiet one in the corner, especially when she owns the table. The pieces are in place, the curtain's about to rise, and for once in my life, I'm actually looking forward to a meeting. I got to Next Left Solutions early that Monday just to catch the show. Right on cue at 7:45 a.m., Ethan strutted into the lobby in his sharpest suit. Mom and Dad trailed behind, dressed for a victory they didn't earn. "Is the board ready for us?" Ethan asked the front desk, practically humming with anticipation. "This is my moment," he muttered to Mom, loud enough for the receptionist to glance up. His expression reminded me of the time he accidentally deleted my coding project in 9th grade the night before it was due. From my office upstairs, I watched them being escorted to the executive conference room. The board followed soon after, somber-mired and tight-lipped, exactly as instructed. Everyone had received my private message the night before. At 8:00 a.m. on the dot, I pushed back my chair, took a deep breath, and walked down the hall. Time to begin. James Carter, our board chair, was mid-sentence as I entered. "These allegations against Ms. Larson are extremely serious." "Sorry I'm late," I said brightly, taking my seat at the table. Ethan's head jerked up, confusion flickering behind his smug grin. This is a closed session. You weren't invited," he said, Charlie glancing nervously at the directors. "You're embarrassing yourself, sis," he hissed under his breath, leaning toward me. I folded my hands calmly. "Actually, I invited myself. It's a bit hard to hold a board meeting without the company's owner." The silence was delicious. Ethan's jaw dropped. Mom blinked rapidly. Dad looked like he'd swallowed a lemon whole. "What are you talking about?" Ethan sputtered. "Next Left Solutions is owned by shareholders. It's a public company." Ethan scoffed, clinging to his illusion of control.
You're delusional, Em. This is pathetic,
he snapped, his voice rising. Correction, I said, nodding to my assistant. Lila, who stepped forward and began distributing folders to everyone seated around the table. Nexlify Solutions was a public company until 3 weeks ago, when it was quietly purchased by Larson Strategic Holdings. Would you like to guess who owns that? Several directors' eyes widened as they flipped through the pages. Some had speculated about the mysterious private trust behind the buyout, but no one knew the identity of the new owner. Until now. This is insane, Ethan stammered. You can't afford— You're just a coder. You're lying. You've always been jealous of me, he shouted, slamming a fist on the table. I finished for him, smiling. Yes, you've made that quite clear, over and over again. I turned to Lila. Could you play the recordings, please? She tapped her tablet, and the room filled with Ethan's voice, dripping with false concern. Between us, Emma's not leadership material, he was saying in one clip. She's brilliant with code, sure, but this role, she's going to crash hard. Another recording played. Have you noticed any irregularities in her department's finances? Might be worth a closer look. A third played. She's just a diversity hire, Ethan sneered to a colleague, in over her head. Every whisper, every manipulation, every false lead captured and played back like a perfectly timed symphony. Ethan began to sink into his chair, color draining from his face as the room turned cold. And then there's this, I said, holding up the envelope he'd sent the board, the same one filled with falsified statements and forged documents, attempted character assassination, fabricated financial misconduct, intentional sabotage of company leadership. Did you really think no one would verify any of this before taking action? You faked those recordings, Ethan yelled, pointing at me, his face red. This is a setup. I was trying to protect the company, Ethan blurted, his voice cracking. You're not qualified. You've never been the one who succeeds, who wins. You're not the one who deserves to be here, I said quietly. No, Ethan. I'm the one who deserves to expose you for corporate espionage, for manipulating stock perception, for endangering the company's future with lies. You've been gunning for me since we were kids, I added, my voice steady. But this time, you picked the wrong target. Mom's voice finally broke through the silence. Surely you wouldn't ruin your own brother's life. He's your family, Emma, she sobbed, clutching her purse. How could you do this to us? Turning to her. Like you didn't come here to watch it happen. Had raised a hand weakly. We were just supporting Ethan. You always were the disappointment, he muttered, shaking his head. We should have known you'd turn on us. No, I cut in. You were doing what you've always done, assuming he was the one worth betting on. Then I turned back to the board. I apologize for the theatrical nature of this meeting, I said, rising once more to face the board. But I needed everyone here to understand exactly what we're dealing with. Mr. Ethan Larson has committed multiple serious violations in his attempt to sabotage my role at this company. I paused, letting that hang in the air. His actions have not only targeted me, they've exposed Nexlify Solutions to legal and regulatory risk. James Carter cleared his throat carefully. What would you like us to do, Ms. Larson? I took my seat again, folding my hands on the table. First, I wanted on record that the board has reviewed and dismissed all allegations made against me as categorically false, based on verified documentation and internal review. Second, I request that a formal letter be sent to Ethan's employer detailing his misconduct, including the audio recordings, fabricated evidence, and attempts at corporate espionage. This behavior should follow him professionally. You can't, Ethan said, his voice cracking. You'll destroy my career. You'll ruin me, Em. Is that what you want? He pleaded, tears welling up. To humiliate me in front of everyone? Like you tried to destroy mine, I asked, calm but sharp. The difference is I have real documents tracing real actions you took, not the forged garbage you sent hoping to frame me. I turned back to the board. Lastly, I want it documented that Ethan Larson and both of our parents are permanently banned from Nexlify Solutions property. Any attempt to contact staff or interfere with operations will result in immediate legal escalation. Em, please, Mom cried, mascara streaking down her cheeks. Your family. You're tearing us apart, she wailed, reaching for me. What kind of daughter does this? I let out a short, cold laugh. Family supports each other. Family cheers your wins. Family doesn't fake documents and spread lies just because they can't handle your success. I pulled out one final folder. My ace. This, I said, sliding it across the table, is the acquisition contract for my first tech company, sold for $75 million, 0 cents at age 29. My second, $200 million, 0 cents 2 years later. I glanced at Dad. I could have bought that yacht membership you wanted, could have paid for every luxury trip you gave to Ethan like trophies, but I didn't. I had built an empire while you called me a failure, I said, my voice cutting through their stunned silence. They stared at the numbers that shattered every narrative they'd clung to. I stayed quiet because I wanted to see who would stand by me when they thought I had nothing. You all failed that test. Ethan had gone pale. You're firing me from my job? He whispered. You planned this all along, didn't you? He accused, his voice barely audible. To make me look small. No, I said softly. Your actions fired you, just like you tried to do to me. The only difference? You actually did what you're being accused of. I stood again, gathering the last of my documents. This board meeting is adjourned, I said clearly. James, please ensure all documentation is formally filed and secured. Then I turned to them. Ethan, Mom, Dad, security will escort you out. Wait, Ethan called out, his voice cracking as I reached the door. Please. I'm sorry. I was jealous. I couldn't handle that you were finally doing better than me. I hated seeing you win, he admitted, choking on the words. I thought I was the star, not you. His voice shook. We can fix this, can't we? We're still family. I turned back one last time. Do you know the difference between us, Ethan? He looked up, eyes glossy. When you thought I was struggling, you pushed me down further. When I was succeeding, I kept it quiet to avoid making you feel small. I exhaled. That's the difference between real success and whatever game you've been playing. The next few weeks were interesting. Ethan lost his job. His employer wasted no time once they reviewed the evidence of his sabotage. Word of my success at Next Left Solutions leaked, and suddenly, the same yacht club crowd that had fawned over my brother started asking about me. Mom and Dad left teary voicemails. Ethan sent handwritten apologies. His therapist mailed a letter explaining he was doing the work. I archived them all without replying. 2 months later, I was working late when Lila buzzed my office. There's someone here to see you, says it's personal. It was Ethan, but not the polished, cocky version I'd grown up with. He looked thinner, older, hair shorter, no flashy watch, no tailored blazer, just a plain button-down and a manila envelope. I'm not staying, he said quickly, raising a hand. I just need to say something. He stepped forward, placing the envelope on my desk. This has everything. Passwords, contacts, info I dug up while trying to sabotage you. I'm also sending a letter to the board and my former employer, owning everything. No excuses. I was a coward, he added, his voice low. I couldn't face you winning, so I tried to tear you down. I watched him silently. Why now? I finally asked. Because you were right, he said. I wasn't building anything real. You did, and I hated you for it. He turned to leave, then hesitated. I'm starting over. Small startup, entry level. No shortcuts this time. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that letting me fail taught me more than our parents ever did by helping me cheat. You showed me what real strength looks like, he said, meeting my eyes for the first time. He reached the door. Ethan, I called softly. He turned back, hope in his eyes. Send me your resume in a year for a leadership role, I said gently. But if you're serious about earning things the right way, we're always looking for people willing to work their way up. A single tear slipped down Ethan's cheek, but he gave a small nod, collected himself, and left without another word. 4 months later, Next Life Solutions has surpassed even my most optimistic projections. We're developing life-changing AI solutions, expanding rapidly, and creating hundreds of new jobs across New England. Something real, something lasting. Mom and Dad still send the occasional message, usually when they need something or want to name-drop their CEO daughter at a dinner party. I keep contact, polite but distant. The approval I used to crave so badly, I don't need it anymore. The corner office they said I'd never earn has a perfect view of the Boston skyline. Some nights I sit by the window watching the sun dip behind the harbor, thinking about family, ambition, and the strange power of being underestimated. Last week I got a holiday card from Ethan. No guilt, no request, just a quiet note. You succeeded not because of us, but despite us. I'm learning to do the same. Maybe that's the real revenge. Quiet, earned, undeniable. Thank you for listening to my story, for seeing me when so many people I loved couldn't. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment. Tell me what you would have done in my shoes. Would you have stayed silent, fought back sooner, or maybe you've lived through something similar? Been the quiet one, the underestimated one, the one who had to build from the shadows while others took the spotlight. I want this space to be more than a story. Let it be a reminder that you don't need loud applause to validate your worth. Sometimes your quiet resilience is your loudest strength. And if you're on your own journey right now, working late nights, being overlooked, underestimated, keep going. Keep building. Let your success speak louder than your pain. Support me by liking, sharing, and subscribing, not just for the next chapter of my story, but for yours too. Because if I've learned anything, it's this. Success isn't about proving people wrong. It's about proving to yourself that you were always right to believe. So, what's your story? I'm listening. And I hope the world is too, because it's your time to be seen,